Okay, yes, I was definitely muted. Hello and welcome to another edition of Addition. I'm your host, Addie Snowden. I'm a quantum life coach helping you jump into the reality of your dreams. As always, you can book with me at calendly.com/addition pod. That is calendly.com/addition pod. If you didn't catch that, you can go to the QR code. You can go to the QR code on the live stream. You can also look in the show notes if you're listening on YouTube, uh, Facebook, Instagram. I will have a link to the podcast with the notes, and you can click the link to book with me. So I'm really excited. I actually just updated my Calendly. My new times are going to be on Tuesdays. And if you're in the US, it's going to be Tuesday mornings. If you're in Asia, it's Tuesday evenings. Because as you know, I am Addie International and I am in Asia. I'm in Thailand. I also have an amazing special for the rest of Q3 because we're all trying to figure out our goals. And this episode is all going to be about goal setting, intention, and frame control, something I've talked about in a previous episode about power, but I'm going to go into it more because I just finished a book on it. But yeah, since we're in Q3, I'm running a BOGO, a buy one, get one free quantum life coaching session. This is $1,000 savings, or technically $999.99 savings. One, because I want to help everyone get started to the year. I'm late on my goals this year. I haven't done my vision board yet. And we all need that push. So yes, if you book a session between now and the end of March, you will get one free session. Just let me know when you're booking the session. And yes, that is your BOGO. So yes, I'm so excited to talk today about frame control, goal setting, and intentions. And this is a really powerful topic for me because I don't hear about it a lot in career advice. I don't hear about frame control a lot in business advice, but what I do hear about it is in dating advice. So if you're a man listening to pickup artists or dating coaches, you probably heard a lot about frame control. As a woman, I didn't really hear that content. I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't heard that content, but a lot of men are walking around knowing the ins and outs of frame control, and the world is bending at mercy to them. Like, truthfully, frame control is a way um, to be powerful, to dominate a conversation. That's the power of frame control. So as a woman, we can't necessarily dominate our opponents physically, either because we're not trained as fighters or because we just don't want to. We don't want to get our faces scratched up. You know what I mean? But there's a way to master control in a conversation, in a situation, with frame control. And the reason why it's also goal setting and intention, because effective frame control requires goal setting and intention. So let's take it 50 steps back. I'm probably going way over your heads right now. But let's think of, I will describe an example of something where frame control matters. So frame control is defining the meaning of an interaction for yourself. Other people are going to have frames, so it's going to be the meaning that they have for a situation interaction. But because we're doing this for ourselves, we're focusing on what situations in life mean for us. So one of my favorite examples of where frame control comes handy, doing a return without a receipt. So, some places have a very clear return policy. You have your receipt, your items still have the tag on, and it's an easy return. However, not every place is like that. Everything is negotiable, right? Some places will give you a refund without a receipt. I've done that recently at a grocery store. I've done that in Thailand recently. We bought SIM cards and our phones don't have a SIM portal. So we had to return it at 7-Eleven. They gave us a whole bunch of issue about that, but eventually we did get the return. So think about something where, someone has power over you. Either they're an employee at a store, They're your manager at work. They're your landlord for the place that you're renting. There are so many situations where we may feel like people have the upper hand over us, and that's not actually true. That is actually the frame that we're going into the situation with. So if we walk, and that's the power of goal setting and intention, because if I walk into the 7-Eleven store, and my frame is that I think that they're going to think I'm trying to pull a fast one on them. They think that I'm trying to screw them over. Uh, then I'm going to carry that energy into the conversation. I'm going to behave accordingly, and the likelihood that I'm going to get my refund goes down significantly. However, if I go in there saying, no matter what, I am leaving with something, um, that energy is going to come through in the interaction. Okay. So now more than ever, people, especially employees, especially, young people, people in their early to mid career, this is frame control is something that you need to master. You need to master going into situations with a clear intention set and a clear goal of what you're hoping to get out of it. Um, and the techniques come in later, but like, let's just start there. Every situation that we're in, whether it's this podcast, my goal for this podcast is that I'm going to get one new client this episode. And you're probably listening right now, okay? But I'm coming into the podcast with that energy. Whereas before, I may have just been wanting to catch up. I may have just been wanting to populate my feed. I may have just been wanting to look cute on camera. Wanting to sound smart, wanting to sound intelligent, wanting to get a job. That's actually why I started this podcast. I was looking to get a better job. But it's like I have to, every single thing we do when we wake up in the morning, we need to have a goal. And it's like, even if that goal is just to relax, like that's okay. It's the importance is that you create the intention for the day, the situation, and don't let someone else create the intention for the day. And I'm married, as you know, and this doesn't mean like just being a bully. Of course, like I wake up in the morning hoping that my wife has just as great as a day as I do. Like that's part of the goals. That's part of the intentions. Okay. So, and before you even start thinking about frame control, you have to think about what you even want to do with it. Okay. And again, I'm a quantum life coach. You can always book with me. This is something that I help my clients with to help them get to their dream reality. It's an essential part of quantum jumping because you have to believe that you even deserve or that you even are, it's even okay for you to have power over a situation. Like that is like just to even think that you have the power to change your life is huge, right? So, um, let's get back to where I am. Okay. So, frame control. You have to have a goal. You have to have a goal. Okay. So and I was surprised in this book, their goal setting technique is the same that the largest corporations use. It's those SMART goals, those specific, measurable, actionable, results oriented, and time bound goals. I can't believe I have that memorized. That tells you how long I've been in corporate. Oh my God. But they are intentional goals. Like, so for example, I wake up this morning, my goal is for my wife and I to have the best possible day, right? Today. It's time bound, it's specific, it's me and my wife, it's actionable, their behaviors that I can do positive, it's results oriented, how am I feeling at the end of the day, etc. Okay, so every situation, if you don't take away anything from this podcast except this, it is every situation, every meeting, every conversation, every text, every chat, every creative output, every art that you do. You need to have a goal in mind. And that's like, there are times in life, and I'm sure a lot of people are going through this, where you're just floating. You're just floating. You have no idea what you want in life. You're kind of looking at other people left and right to kind of give you some kind of guidance as to what you should want in life. Maybe you do have desires of what you want to do in life, but you're second guessing yourself. You're doubting yourself. You're talking to the wrong people about it. You're not getting the right affirmations and validations for your ideas, which we'll get to later in the episode with our 15 commitment of this week, where we need to source our own validation. Okay. But yeah, this is how a lot of people get lost. This is how people, they get laid off, they get kicked out of school, they get kicked off the team, and then they just completely lose all sense of themselves. They have no more goals, they have no more drives, they have no more intention. They have let the world happen to them. They have let the frame of the environment consume them. And you don't have to do that. If that is you, like, keep listening, because you don't have to do that. You can set a goal. So I was getting my hair braided yesterday, which I'll get to later in the podcast. And I had a lot of free time. And after I finished the book, there were exercises, and they were like, what are your goals in life? And it was like these different areas. One of, like, career generally, relationships generally, food was one of them. We all have needs, right? And I realized, like, wow, like, while I'm an incredibly goal-oriented person, I do planners every year. We have marriage values, we have marriage mission, all of that, but I have not set any goals since retiring. I have not set not one goal, except I have now. Okay. Yesterday I wrote my goals down. And so write your goals down. Think about the different areas of your life that you want to see change. And just the power of writing the goals is half of the work. Like, the making a decision to want something for yourself is half of the work. Okay. So that's goal setting, and let's get back to frame control. So going back to the 7-Eleven situation, let's say, so I have no receipt, and this is a true story. I have no receipt. I'm returning 2 SIM cards. I've opened one of the packages, and I want to get all my money back. I have the goal of wanting to get my money back, but the cashier also has a goal. She doesn't want to spend more than 5 minutes on one customer. She doesn't want to spend more than 1 minute on customers. She doesn't want to do any returns. And that's when you have not necessarily a frame battle, but 2 people have different goals for the scenario. And if you're in economics or have studied economics, you may be familiar with game theory. I was just talking to Jolene about Nash equilibrium not too long ago, and we won't get into that. Won't get into that level of nerd for you guys today, but you have 2 opposing goals. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Like, for most people, you're going to say, of course, the 7-Eleven cashier is going to win. They have the authority. They have the power. And there's a really important quote that my wife reminds me of all the time. Power, and it's from Game of Thrones, I think, but I'm sure it came from someone before that. But power is where you believe it lies. There is no such thing as like a universal power. Like, some people have power over some people and don't have power over anyone else. There is no universal truth of who has the power, right? And why would we not believe we have the power? I'm the customer. 7-Eleven would be nothing without me. 7-Eleven depends on my money. They depend on positive reviews. They want to sell more stuff to me. There's a million 7-Elevens. Why would we go to that location? And while the employees, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. While the employee may not think like that, the owner of the business does, and the manager definitely does. The customer is always right, people. And that is the frame and energy that we need to be walking into when we're doing these kinds of returns. So I got the money back. If you want to know what happened, I got the money back for the SIM card, for the one that wasn't opened, which I thought was fair. And that's what I wanted. Like, I could have pushed more. I could have pushed more and demanded that I get more than that back. Or I get exchange for both of the SIM cards, but I didn't, because I thought it was fair, and honestly, that I probably didn't want to be that powerful. I didn't believe I deserved both those refunds. I believed that I had made a mistake, which weakened my frame against the 7-Eleven crew. So now I want you to take a minute and reflect. Think about a situation where you feel disempowered. Like, and this happens all the time, like at the nail salon. We're paying for a service. We should have the power, but in America, like, for example, like they'll push gel polish, they'll push acrylics, they will literally destroy our nails and tell us it's good for us. And when I started on my healthy nail journey, I stopped telling, I said, like, no, you can't, please, I want gel, but you don't use the drill on my nails. And every time there was a battle, every time there was a battle, but I knew I was going to get up and walk out if they weren't going to use that nail file on me and they were going to insist on using the drill. And that's the thing. Like, if you're hearing about frame control and you're like freaking out and you're like, I don't know, I feel weak, I feel disempowered, I feel like I have no power over anything. Everyone has a strong frame in something. This is just about expanding that into other things. Like, so someone may know that they're a really good writer, but they may not have a strong frame when it comes to math. They may not think that they're a really good mathematician. So, an interesting story, side note. So, as you guys know, I majored in math at Dartmouth College, and we worked with a lot of the PhD students. And the PhD students, all of them, literally every single one, were C math students in college. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Let that sink in for a minute. Most people will get C's in math and think that they're not good at math and think that they have no future in math. And when I tell you every single PhD student, and the ones that I talked to, there were like 5. So like I'm not overreacting here. Every single mathematics PhD student was a C student in math in college. Okay, so let's just break your frame there. Okay, you think these people are A students, they're killing it. Anyway, so there's something that we all know that we're good at, right? And the challenge is to bring that confidence into different areas of our life so we can control our frame more. Another example is like at work, like with like work performance. Like I've talked about in this past, like it's completely subjective and arbitrary. Everyone needs to be going into their performance review knowing that they smashed it out of the park. And it's like, how couldn't you? You've been spending 8 hours of your life force energy 5 days a week for a year, for 6 months, for 3 months, however cadence you do your check-ins or your performance reviews. And they've been paying you the whole time. Of course you're doing a good job. They depend on us thinking that we don't know that. And that's, it's like, so you have to believe that you're doing a good job. Okay. So more about frame control. I feel like this may need to be a series because there's just so much going on. But the main takeaways today are: 1, go into every situation that you go in with a goal. Every situation, every conversation, every interaction, anything that takes your time, that takes your energy, you need to go in with a specific goal in mind. And that specific goal sets your intention for the interaction. And just to be clear, this is not about being a bully. I did not yell at those 7-Eleven women. Like, getting emotional is actually losing your frame. It's losing control of your frame. If you're getting heated, if you're yelling, if you're, and I know some people, you may just communicate that like this, but when you're just like raising your voice because you're excited or passionate, or raising your voice because you're angry and trying to bully and intimidate someone. We all know what that is. Use your judgment. That's not what it is. You're going to be calm. You're going to be calm and you're going to stick to your frame. I'm leaving with a refund, even though I don't have a receipt, because the customer is always right. Sit calm, peace. Just sit in that power. I'm leaving with a refund. Even hearing about that, I think about like the civil rights movement and like the sit-ins and things like that. All they did was just say, I'm not leaving. That's it. Rosa Parks just said, I'm not getting up. I'm not getting up. You could do whatever you need to do, but I'm going to sit right here at the front of this bus because my legs hurt. And I'm not going to risk breaking my leg to go to the back of the bus to make you feel more comfortable or better. Just a piece. Okay. So that's the frame control 101. Okay. I'll reframe this LOL as an intro, because there's so much more to talk about this, and I really want to see you guys win. I want to see you guys feel empowered and powerful. So that is the topic for today. If you're watching, let me know if you have any questions. I do see the chat. Oh, okay. I see Jay Snow says, welcome back. Thank you, Jay Snow. Nova Davis says, what are you talking about? Well, you got to ask more. Someone says, tu parles français? Oui, je parle français un peu. I was more fluent, not anymore. Okay. And then what are you talking about, bro? I don't know. I think they're talking with each other, which is really cool. Love you guys, YouTube. I love you guys. All right. So if you have any questions about frame control, please ask them in the chat. I'm going to move on to the next topic, but that doesn't mean I'm done talking about frame control, because it also helps me understand it better as well. Okay, so the next topic is the 15 commitment series. And you know what's so interesting? Last week, I was hell-bent on talking about exploring the opposite, and I didn't know what commitment I was on. I went back in the archives and looked at the last time I did a 15 commitment and which one it was, and it literally was exploring the opposite. Isn't that cool? But today we're on commitment 11, which is sourcing, approval, control, and security. So I commit to being the source of my approval, control, and security. So sourcing, approval, control, and security, I commit to being the source of my approval, control, and security. Okay, this is a powerful one. And it's like, I feel like a year ago, I was like, because I thought my whole life depended on having other people's approval, whether that's they're liking my content, they're following my podcast, I'm getting the streams and the views, or I'm getting the bonus at work, or I'm getting the pat on the back, I love you, from every single person I interact with. Like, I was so desperate for people's approval, and that made it really easy for me to be taken advantage of, because I was completely externalizing my approval, control, and security. Once you believe that it is okay that your approval, control, and security is enough, you're free. Okay? Once you believe that it's okay that your approval, control, and security is enough, you are free. Like, I imagine myself physically bending over at all time when I think that other people's approval, control, and security is more important than mine. And I'm standing straight up with my back straight when I believe my own is enough. Okay? So let's stop how beautiful I am, how intelligent I am, how successful I am, how wealthy I am has nothing to do with what anyone else thinks. It's all on me. It's all on me. And that's the same for you. So it's the same for you. Someone in your life right now is making you feel like you can't do anything right. Someone in your life right now is making you feel like you're a failure. Someone in your life right now is making you feel incompetent. Okay? Who are they? Like, who is this person that, because it's like, if they were that great of a person, why would they even be talking to you if you're so bad? Okay, let's be very real. Like, it's not Mother Teresa. It's not Mother Teresa that's telling us that we're a bad person. Let's be real. It's not the Pope that's saying, hey, you're actually not a good person. It's someone who is equally as at fault, or as equally, it's someone who we wouldn't necessarily trade lives with, we wouldn't trade faces with, or something my wife says. So stop caring. It's all about how you feel. It's all about what you feel about yourself. Okay. Like, one of my mantras right now, especially because I'm not wearing as much makeup and people love to comment on my skin. Oh my God. People, I'm in the beach, I'm in the sun. So my mantra is I'm the most beautiful woman in the world. And I've had that mantra for a long time. Okay. It doesn't matter what anyone in the comments thinks. It doesn't matter what any who says yes on a date. Back when I was single, all that matters is what I believe about myself. And Jelena and I have been watching this fun show called Pop the Balloon. And it's like people who we think are conventionally attractive get popped. People who we think are really unattractive leave with the most attractive person on the panel. And it's all about them believing and them knowing who you are, because having a strong frame and having a strong belief about yourself is incredibly attractive. It's one of the most attractive things in the world. That's what people mean when they say I love confidence. Oh wow, they have BDE, if you know what that means. It's like they're just carrying themselves like they know they're amazing, and that's what you need to do. And people may not like that. People aren't going to like that, and that's when you need to get into a new room. You need to get in a new room. No one is being a hater on me here. The last person who was hating on me in Thailand, it was because I negotiated a significant because I called him out on his BS basically, and didn't insisted on not leaving, paying more than I had intended to pay. And that's when the last time someone belittled me or tried to make me feel less than. But yeah, get in a different room. Get in a different room. Okay, so I'll repeat the commitment one last time. I commit to being the source of my approval, control, and security. All right, again, I am taking comments. I'm taking I'm taking questions. All right. So first, what do you find most difficult about frame control? From Jay Snow, your favorite spiritual guide on the internet. Love you, Jay Snow. So, what do I find most difficult about frame control? Remembering I have the power to control the frame. That's the most difficult thing about frame control for me, is remembering that I have the power to control the frame. Sometimes things happen fast, and some people, take us aback. I get in fight or flight, and I forget, it's a new behavior. So that's the most difficult thing, remembering. That's once I remember I have the power to control the frame, it's easy, but it's just reprogramming my brain to remember that I have the power to control the frame. I do have the power to control the frame. All right, still taking questions, but I'm going to move on to what I'm geeked out about this week. So as you can see, I got my hair done. Okay, I got my AirPod fell out. I get my braids done in Thailand every 2 months. And if you've been to the Bahamas, if you've been to Asia, you will see a lot of people, all ages, races, ethnicities. Sorry, people are trying to co-host with me. People of all ages, races, and ethnicities are getting their hair braided. And it's like, so I'm African descent, and braiding is an African technique. And in America, there's a lot of judgment for people who are not of African descent to wear their hair braided. And I feel like that's just so unnecessary. It really is. Like, these Thai women did such a good job. They braided my hair was done in like 4 hours. Okay. And look how small the braids are. I'm looking like Beyonce's Cowboy Carter poster. And there are people at the braid shop. There are people of all races at the braid shop. And I thought it was such a beautiful thing, because the store is an African hair braiding store. LOL. These comments, I can't with y'all. Okay, thanks. Y'all are funny in the comments. But anyway, like, everyone deserves to have braids. Everyone does it, because it protects your hair. You get to swim in the ocean. You get to be carefree. It's a carefree hairstyle. And the Thai braiders are fabulous. Anyone can learn how to braid, and everyone can rock the braids. So I support. And you may hate me for this, but I'm not gatekeeping braids. Hair is incredibly fragile, and it's amazing to have a protective style. And I love that Beyonce is bringing the braids back, even in her Cowboy Carter era. As you can see, she was definitely the inspiration for this hair. Love her. Okay, so that was all my content planned for the day. I'm going to take some questions. As you guys know, just feel free to pepper them in. I'm also realizing that I can ask ChatGPT for questions as you guys are reminding questions. This is my current use for AI. I still use AI. I'm still an AI girly. Drop any questions you have in the chats. I'm going to ask AI, what are some common questions smart people have, since you guys are geniuses? Smart people have when they learn about frame control. And I'm going to put the link to the book in the show notes if you guys want to read it. It's a really easy read, really fast read. Okay. All right. So ChatGPT is bringing some questions up, and I'm also looking at the chat. And yes, Jillian saying it's so misguided when people try to keep braids. No race or creed actually owns anything. Ain't that the truth? Thank you, Jillian. Okay, so let's see what questions. Okay, so here's a good question from ChatGPT. What makes a strong frame versus a weak frame? So if I did, this is something that's really important. A strong frame is strong when it's aligned, when you truly, truly believe it, like deeply, it's ingrained into you, and it's also aligned with what the social group accepts. So if I have a frame, like the 7-Eleven one was really hard because I'm sure they don't have people in there bullying them or doing, like in Thailand, returns aren't a thing here like the US. They're not. And they may say like just no refunds. I got Jolene some headphones from her birthday. They're these really cute cat ear headphones. I also have them. I'll probably wear them on the podcast. And the cat ears, it was a sealed box. The ears literally weren't in the box, and we just couldn't return it. And I'm glad that they were affordable. It's like you got to check the box before you leave, right? So yeah, so it's much harder to get a refund in Thailand as opposed in a place like the US where refunds are normalized. I remember we went to this French restaurant in Thailand and ordered I mean, it was like ham and cheese croquettes, which were disgusting. And there was another thing that we ordered that was inedible. And we're like, we don't like this. And they're like, well, you have to pay for this. And where in America, it's like they're going to comp that food. They're going to take it off your bill. So, but anyway, having a frame that aligns with the social norms makes it strong. And also having a frame that aligns with your deep, deep, deep core beliefs. Hi, Marzena. Um, it makes a frame strong. Okay. So that's what makes it. What are some practical examples of frame control in everyday life? I talked about returns. Oh my God. Let me talk about my tattoo. So this is the next time I'm going to practice frame control. So for Valentine's Day last year, Jolene got my name tattooed on her. So for this year, I got her name tattooed on me. Well, so I thought. I went to the local tattoo shop, and remember, we're in Thailand. Most people aren't here for that long, and I think this is why they did me like this. But on my finger, I got a finger tattoo with Jolene's name. How am I? I'm fabulous. Thanks for asking, Marzena. And literally, and I was like, I kept it away from the water. Literally, the one time, as soon as I noticed, like my tattoo is fading immediately, and it's like I've got one tattoo before, and I've literally never cared about getting it wet or anything like that, and it never went away, right? So I was at 7-Eleven with Jolene, and the tattoo artist, because again, this is the local tattoo artist, was like, "Hey, how's your tattoo doing?" I'm like, "Well, not great, actually. It's come off." And he's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll fix it for you." So I go back, sit down, and get tattooed again. Now I want you to look at this tattoo. Look at this. Do you see it? It's barely there, right? One dip in the pool made my tattoo fade. Okay? So now my next frame control activity is going to get a refund. It's like, this is a tattoo. It's supposed to be personal. And I paid a decent amount of money for that tattoo. And it's like, I gotta, it's like, these are things that happen to us all the time. People try us. Like Julie and I talk all the time. It's like, people will always try you. We got our hair done yesterday. The owner tried to jack the price up on us after we agreed on the price beforehand. People will always try to make you feel like you can't, they are going to try to bully you. I mean, this is bullying, right? So anyway, there's so many more examples of how you can use frame control, obviously in one-on-one interviews with your manager. um, any situation where you and the other person, like shopping, sales, all of it, where the person that you're talking to has a different goal than you. Okay, let's see what other chat GPT questions have. um, can frame control be misused, and how can one avoid it? Yeah, so it can be misused. Like I said, you're not supposed to be angry. You have to really understand what it is. This is not about angry or bullying people. And it's also not going to work. So I'll get into that more next episode. But don't just go around like screaming and harassing staff because you think it's frame control. You got to understand what it is. Okay, I think that's a good amount of questions. I really appreciate you guys coming in on the chat. You guys have shown up in full force for today's episode. Oh, Marzena, I'm so sorry. Your dad died. I'm my heart goes out to you. Rest in power, rest in peace to your father. Everyone, light a candle for Marzena's dad, Marzena Balika on YouTube. I'm so sorry to hear that. Whew, but I really appreciate you guys engaging with me, talking to me, being a part of this episode. As always, you can email me additionpod@gmail.com if you want to. Oh, hey, Michael. Thanks. I'm doing so well. Oh, you're doing amazing. I still follow you, and congrats on everything, grad school, everything. So, yeah, let me know if there's any other topics that you'd like me to talk about. And I will talk to you guys soon. Love you guys. Bye.